or an apartment or wherever you live. You can't, we got to start moving along. And with all of the testing we're doing, with all of the things we're doing, you can do this now. And governors are actually, a lot of pressure is being put on governors right now by the people in their states. They want to get it open, and that's what you want. That's what we all want. And with all of the procedures and safety, we've learned a lot about this hidden enemy. We've learned a lot. And there'll be pockets of fire, and we'll put them out. We'll put them out very, very quickly. But, during this period of time, I think we've really learned a tremendous amount about how to handle it. Nothing easy, but we want safety. So we want safety, and we want economic, where people can go and make a great living and go back to living the way. I mean, we had wonderful people in yesterday where the business was going to be lost other than what we did, Steve, with the great programs that we set up. Their businesses were gone. One man, he was a chef with 5 children, and his mother lived with him and his wife, and he lost his job for the first time in his life. Some of you were there. And you had others that were equally so. It was pretty amazing. I thought it was pretty amazing display of what we've done to help a lot of people. And you have millions of people like that, millions that have been helped where they wouldn't have a job right now, and where the small business would have closed. Now, these are big businesses, but the small businesses would have closed. And I think it's great when WIN, which is a terrific group of people, but when Matt says that, we're supporting all of the people, I know what that is. That's a big, you practically a full staff and you have no income. That's a big thing. That's a great thing. I hope you're rewarded for that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
No, it's a tremendous thing.
Is there a target date?
Its target date is as soon as possible. Some states are already open. I mean, they're opening up rapidly. We have a number of them opening up on Monday. We have a number of them opening up sooner than that, as you know, or at least partially opening. Some of them even with a very strong bent toward opening, they're opening up where they'll open a certain amount here, restaurants at 25%, then going to 50%, then ultimately we want to be back to where we're 100%. We don't want. I had one restaurant owner come up to me and said, "Sir, I'm going to be opening up, but if I distance too much, I have 50% of the restaurant I had." I said, "And you'll also have a worse atmosphere." We want to be back where we can have. We want it to be the way it was, because the way it was is the right way. We can't have somebody with a half a restaurant. You understand? He had 175 seats. Now he's got half. That's not going to pay the rent or whatever. Same thing with an owner. I was on the phone with the commissioners and some of the owners of sports, of big-time sports, and he was talking almost like he was going to have 2 or 3 seats in between everybody that was there. And I said, you're not going to have to do that for that long. You're going to be back. He said, really? Oh, really? He was like, I don't want people to get used to this, because this virus is going to be gone. And when it's gone, you want to get back to normal. You're not going to have a stadium that's 30% the size of what it was 3 months ago. If I watch Alabama play LSU, I don't want to see 20,000 people instead of 120,000 people. We want it to be the way it was. Now, we've got to wait till it's gone, and it will be gone, and we've done a lot to get rid of it. But we want to open our country. The people want this country open.
So this 100% scenario you're laying out, going back to the way it was, is that before the vaccine or after the vaccine?
So a lot of progress is being made on a vaccine, but you never know, right? You never know. With SARS, they didn't come up with a vaccine, and sometimes they don't, and sometimes they do. I will say this. I don't think there was the same effort, because a lot of people don't know what SARS is, and some people do. But they do come up with vaccines. I mean, you look at what's happened as an example with Ebola, with AIDS, with others that have been so incredibly successfully, if not eradicated, certainly it's been incredible what some, with what these people that I'm dealing with right now, like Gilead today, with, what they came up with as an example, that's far ahead of schedule. So we're looking for vaccines. We're looking for therapeutics also. I mean, I think therapeutics right now, if you gave me both, I'd rather have the therapy, because that, makes people better right now, whether it's helping them along or makes them better almost instantly. We have to see. But there's tremendous work on therapeutics going on, and I think we're having some good results. One of them was Gilead today.
100% the full restaurants, the stadiums, theoretically could come before the vaccine.
I'm not relying on that. I hope that's going to happen. Johnson & Johnson, Oxford, you hear a lot of very good stories. I'm hearing them really firsthand, good stories, very promising, but they have to test it. Maybe it's not safe. Maybe it eradicates it, but it's not safe. And, they have to do testing with vaccines, whereas the therapeutics, it goes a lot quicker in terms of the process. No, if you don't have a vaccine, if the virus is gone, we're like we were before. But having a vaccine would be a great thing. And I think we're going to get there in this case just based on what I know, but we'll see what happens. Look, the Gilead research has been, that's gone so fast. That's gone at a level of speed that nobody's ever seen before. And that's a stepping stone. So I think they're doing very well. But no, I want to get back with or without. But obviously we have to wait till it's gone. It will be gone, and we want to be back to where we were. Yes.
Without a vaccine, sir, why do you think the virus will just be gone?
It's going to go. It's going to leave. It's going to be gone. It's going to be eradicated, and it might take longer. It might be in smaller sections. It won't be what we had, and we also learned a lot. Again, if you have a flare-up in a certain area, if you have I call them burning embers, boom, we put it out. We know how to put it out now, but we put it out. And now we're equipped. Now we have more ventilators than anyone thought was possible. We're doing a tremendous service for the world right now. We're giving ventilators. We're making hundreds of thousands of ventilators in, I believe, 9 different plants that made other products, in some cases cars, in some places other things. These companies, General Motors and Ford in another way, and GE, so many companies, Honeywell, they've stepped up. 3M has been terrific. They've stepped up like nobody's ever seen before. And the job they're doing is great. And I'll tell you, I think the job that they're doing on vaccines and on therapeutics has been great too. We'll see. We'll let you know about that in a little while. Please. Anybody else?
Yeah, Mr. President, oil's up today, partially on reports that the Treasury Secretary and others may have.
What is it up to?
Depends on which, but it's about $25. But on the suggestion that the Treasury Secretary and others may have presented you with a plan for government assistance to the oil companies.
Well, we're not going to let our oil companies go and get in trouble. It's not their fault that they got hit by 50% less volume in one day. One instant, all of a sudden, these very great companies are employing all these people. So I'm talking to Steve, and we just saved the airlines. The airlines were having the best year they've ever had. And then all of a sudden they're like out of business. We can't let that happen. So we saved the airlines. That's done. We're saving other companies and industries. And I would say, Steve, maybe you can talk to it, but I think the oil industry is one of the top on the list.
So we're looking at a lot of different strategies. We have a dedicated team combined of people at Treasury and people at the Department of Energy. As I've said before, this is not going to be a bailout of shareholders, but this is going to be supporting the national security issue. I would just comment the Secretary of Energy has done an extraordinary job of taking in oil in the strategic reserve and being paid for the storage capacity in oil. We're also exploring potentially having the ability to store another several 100 million barrels. So we're looking at lots of different options. We're in touch with lots of people around the world, and the President is determined that we protect the national security interest and the jobs.
Announcement this week about.
Well, we had a very interesting thing because we had a lot of capacity, meaning you can fill it up in the national strategic reserves, and it wasn't full. And we made a great deal. If you would have told us that we could have had that filled up, or it's on the way to being filled up at the kind of pricing that we're talking about, I would have said you have to be kidding. We're talking about 19, I'm not sure Chris is going to be happy about this because it doesn't pertain to the hotel business, don't get scared, but we're talking about like 1952 pricing. It's unbelievable. It's prices that are so low. And in some cases, we're storing oil and getting paid for storage because we have a tremendous capacity for it. So what's happened with the strategic reserves is incredible.
And additional aid might be announced this week, or do you have a timeline for that?
Say it.
Additional aid might be announced this week, or do you have a timeline for it?
On that?
For oil companies?
Well, you mean a plan
Yeah.
to help them out?
Yes.
I would say shortly. I mean, right now we're dealing with some of the big ones, but the big ones are very strong. They've been very strong over the years. I think that they're not going to have the problem. But we have a lot of great people and a lot of great jobs in Texas and Oklahoma and North Dakota and other states that are great. It's energy. It's not. I don't even call it oil. I call it energy. This is the backbone of the world, really. You know, you can talk all of the green. I'm all for green. But the green can't power these massive factories that are being built in this country. It just can't. The windmills aren't going to be able to do it, and solar's not going to be able to do it. I love solar, but it's not going to be able to do it. And, you know, we're getting it for the right price, but we're not going to we're energy independent. We're not going to let our energy industry down. We're not going to let them, and it's not our fault. It's not their fault. But we're not going to let anything happen to them, so we're working on that very hard. I think protecting energy and energy independence, to me, that's a very big part of what happened. You know, energy has really helped me turn this country into the economic power that it's been, and we're not going to let that go. And sure, it's going to have a couple of bad years. We have a tremendous oversupply. The reason we have the oversupply, though, number one, it was a very efficient business. And but the reason we have it is because the demand got cut in half one day by this plague. One day, all of a sudden, take a look at the roads. It goes from packed highways, everybody traveling, going all over, to no cars on the road. I mean, that was 25, 30% right there. But then there's other things, factories that aren't working right now because of this. We did a great thing last night, using the powers that we have to make sure that the processors and all of the delivery of our food chain, that it was protected and safe. And those people, we were on the phone with all of them this morning, pretty much all of them, as you probably know. They were cheering, literally cheering over the phone. We did some good moves, not money moves so much as common sense moves, because they were being hurt by stupidity. And we have them really back online. So I think that we put out, that's called burning embers too. We put out a fire. So there'll be plenty of meat and pork and everything that you want. Yeah.
And Mr. President, you said you were anxious to get out of the White House. Might we see some travel in the next week or so?
I think so. I think I'm going to Arizona next week, and we look forward to that. And I'm going to, I hope, Ohio very soon. And we're going to start to move around, and hopefully in the not-too-distant future, we'll have some massive rallies, and people will be sitting next to each other. I can't imagine a rally where you have every fourth seat full, every 6 seats are empty for every one that you have full. That wouldn't look too good. No, I hope that we're going to be able to do some good old-fashioned 25,000 person rallies where everyone's going wild because they love our country. Okay?
Expect that to happen?
Well, I'm going to Arizona, and that's a little bit different. That's having to do with industry, because it's too soon for the big everybody get together and stand next to each other crowds. But that'll be next week. I don't know. It'll depend. It also depends on states. You know, you have different states. Some states are really in great shape now, and some states will be in great shape. But a lot of progress has been made. It's pretty incredible. Even if you look in New York, I spoke with Governor Cuomo at length today, and they're on that other side of the curve, a lot less. It's been hit very hard. You know, it's New York, and you probably would expect that. But they're on the other side of that curve. The bed usage and the people coming to hospitals is way down, much lower than it was. So a lot of very positive signs are happening. Okay?
So, President, do you expect to be able to hold rallies before the election? Do you think
I hope so. Look, we have a tremendous pent-up demand. They love what we're doing. They don't want to have taxes raised. They don't want to have stupid things happening. They like the trade deals. We've made great trade deals. I mean, the greatest trade deals ever made in this country. And that's what they want. And we have a lot of them that were lined up and ready to be done, right, Kevin? We have deals that were lined up with countries ready to be done that were so good for our country, so good for our workers. And then this scourge came along, and, you know, that's the last thing people are thinking about right now. It's, you know, we put them on hold for a little while. But no, I hope to see football games and baseball games and basketball. Now for basketball, you're going to have a little bit of a time. I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe they'll be able to play sort of toward the finals or the playoffs or whatever they're doing. I saw baseball's doing something very unusual. I don't know if I agree with that. I'd like to see the Yankees play at Yankee Stadium. I see they have some ideas for baseball that are very different. I guess I'm a traditionalist, but I think they'd be able to play at Yankee Stadium with obviously smaller crowds, and then the crowds would start to build as things get to be a little bit better. But no, I think you're going to see some big things happening. And again, this is going away. This is going away. I think we're going to come up with vaccines and all, but this is going away. And when it's gone, we're going to be doing a lot of things. And again, you have to look other areas. There are areas, you know, we all look at New York, and we see New York and New Jersey and some of these very high-density places where they're doing a very good job. It's just, you know, it's not easy. But you have areas that are really at a very low point and really heading, I always say, heading south quickly. And that's what we want. So we'll see how it all works out. I think it's working very good. How about one more? Anybody else?
Just on that point of this going away, not to belabor the point, but isn't it going away because people are staying in their homes and people are not traveling, and once they come back out, there's no evidence that it would go away?
Maybe that's it. And I cannot tell you how dedicated the people of this country have been in terms of that. Yeah, you know one thing, if you stay in your home, you're not catching it. If you stay in your place and you don't go out, and you know, which is what people were doing, but they want to go out now. They want to get back, and they want to do what they have to do, and some of the facts are coming out, and we did all the right moves. I tell you, we wouldn't do, we were talking to Mike before, if we didn't do what we did, you would have had 1 million people die, maybe more, maybe 2 million people die. And if you think that we'd be at 65 or 70 or 60 or whatever the final number would be, 1 is too many. I always say it, 1 is far too many. This should have never been allowed to happen. Should have been stopped a long time ago before it ever got here or to other countries. But if you really think about it, you could have had, I take a look at Elmhurst Hospital, or I take a look at some of these places that I know growing up in Queens, and I know Elmhurst Hospital, I know these places very well, like the back of my hand. And you'd see body bags lying all over the hallways and outside and going into refrigerated trucks. And multiply that number by 10 or 20, if we didn't do what we did, it wouldn't be acceptable. It wouldn't be sustainable. Nobody would have accepted that. It would have been a terrible thing. We've done it right. I can't believe how incredible the American people have been, because they went out and they really did this, Chris. You know, when you think they went out and they did what they had to do. You know, every once in a while a country like Sweden will be thrown out, or Brazil. Now Brazil's having a hard time because they're having a hard time. But Sweden, the people in Sweden, they're not running around and shaking hands and hugging and kissing each other. You know, the bars are closed and the people are staying in the house. The prime minister doesn't have to say in Sweden, stay in your house. The people stay there automatically. And, you know, they're using that as an example. But they've been hit hard. But again, you call it automatic. I mean, it's automatic distancing, it's automatic protection. But places were closed, the bars were closed. You can't stand at the bars, you can't do certain things. You know, what we did is a great tribute to this country. But if we lose 65,000 people, it's so crazy to say it, it's just so horrible. But if we lose 65,000 people, and instead of that going the other route, we would have lost 1 million or 1.5 million or 2 million, it's possible. It's possible that you lost more. But could you imagine? Look how horrible it is to lose 65 and then multiply that times many, many times. That would not be sustainable. So I think with all of that, I want to just thank everybody, and I want to thank these business folks are just tremendously talented people. People have no idea how talented they are, the job they do, and we're getting our way back, and we're getting our way back, I think, much faster than people think, and I think it's going to be a much more successful launch than anybody would have thought. I really think next year is going to be a tremendous year, and I think the fourth quarter is going to be, Larry, I think the fourth quarter is going to be fantastic. I can feel it.
I feel great. Thank you.
Yeah, I can feel the demand. It's going to be really fantastic. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Please, come on. Go this way.